All right, so we're going to go over our skinning, and so first off we're going to just do kind of an overall brush through on here. So I'm just going to select the object, and then let's see, just making sure here. All right, so from here I'm going to select the object here, and then I'm going to go F9 to go to vertex mode, and then select all these, and then I'm going to assign it to this joint right here. So if we go and use the paint skin weights tool, we can, so I'll show you two different ways to go about this. So we can either go with the skin weights tool and just make sure that we're in vertex mode, and then we want to make sure that we select the joint we're going to, so I'm just right clicking and selecting select influence, and so this is going to be put to the left ball joint, and then we'll go to replace, and then opacity 1, value of 1, and the brush is going to be a full brush, and if I flood that, that will put that all to 100%. And then the other way to go about doing this also is to select all the vertices of the next object. So this is just another way of going about doing this. So I'm going to select these two objects and I'm going to assign them to the foot. But this time I'm going to use the Comet tool. And so Comet has a Comet skin weights. And so the geo is the biped character, which we're currently have selected, and then our skin is the skin cluster 1. So with that, if we go look through here and we find left foot joint, we can actually just assign that to 100%, and that goes 100% to that joint. So for this next one, we'll go up the line. So here, so we want to F9 just to make sure we're in vertex mode. This is going to go to the left knee as well as this one. So I'm just going to double click this one and say go to left knee joint and then put that at 100%, which is where it is. And then we'll grab the leg. And for the leg, we want to look for left leg and put that up to 100%. And then we'll select this one, pretty much basically all the hips, and just go to hips joint and set that all the way to 1 for the weight there. And then for this next part, we're going to put all these to spine 0, 1. So we'll just look down here. So spine 0, 1, and we'll just 100% weight that there. And then we'll go to the next object, which is going to be spine 2. So let's assign that at 100%. And this next one is going to be the chest, and we'll assign 100%. And then this guy, and this one is going to go to the left arm. So we'll go left arm and go 100%. And then we'll just double click. This guy is going to be left elbow. So left elbow joint. And you can see this turns blue. And so this is kind of the active joint that we have selected. So we're going to go 100% there. And then for the hand, we want to just make sure that we have that whole piece selected and go to left hand. Let's look for that, left hand, and then we can go 100% to that. And then from here, we'll go left pinky, 01, 100%, and then left pinky 02 at 100%. And this is going to be left ring 01 to 100%. And this one is going to be ring 02 at 100%. This is going to be left middle at 100%. This is going to be left middle 2, 100%. This is going to be pointer 01. This one's going to be pointer 02 at 100%. And then thumbs. So we'll go thumb 1, 100, thumb 2, 100. And then as we go up the line here, we want to make sure we get this as the neck. So neck to 100%. And then this guy, this one, and the ears. Just rotating around that. And these are going to go to 100% to the head. So we'll go to the head. And like so. Okay, so from this point, if we go back to object mode, and if we go and select our object again, and then go to F9, and for this, we're going to select all of the vertices. Okay, so with all the verts selected, we're going to go to Skin, Mirror Skin Weights option box, and I'm just going to close that tool setting. And then for this one, we're going to go positive to negative. Okay, so positive being over here, over to the negative, and we're mirroring across the YZ plane. So Y is up and down, and Z is coming forward and backwards. So we're going to be flipping over the X. So YZ, and then positive to negative, and then closest point on surface is what I've found to be pretty much the best way. And then from here, we will go influence association usually is 1-to-1, and then association 2 will be closest joint. And then I leave normalized unchecked. So if we apply that, and so we can double check by just going and selecting, say, the right arm. So we'll select the right arm, and it's at a full 100%. So it looks like the mirror went all the way across very well. So that's great. So I'm going to close down the Comet Skin Weights tool and the Mirror Skin Weights tool, and then go back to object mode. And I'm just going to do a small little test here and just take a look and see what my rotations are looking like. All right, and then the chest, let's check that. Looks all right. We can smooth this out a little bit on some of the spine objects. And then also we're going to probably want to put a little bit of weighting on the shoulders as well for the clavicle. So, because currently the clavicle, we're kind of cheating, but we can actually add just a little bit of weight painting to say this area. So one way I kind of like going to do that is, so if we go F9 to go to vertex mode, and I'm just going to select these top two, and then also go to let's see, where is it? Select grow. So select grow, and then that just will select a good amount of area. So I'm going to deselect that and then just go straight, so object mode, and then paint skin weights tool, and then go to select influence. So I'm on the left clavicle joint. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is just, let's see here. So I want to take from, so here, what I'm going to do is actually, since this is all 100% influenced to the chest, I want to take away some from the chest and add it to the clavicle. And so to do so, I'm going to, I believe it's, let's see here. Why can't I right click on this guy? Okay, so we're going to lock inverse selection. So that basically locks everything except for the left clav. And then we also want to unlock this guy right here. So we'll go to the chest and unlock the chest as well. And so now when we do any painting, any weight adjustments, we're just going to be stealing from the chest. Okay, so this brush is obviously a little big, so I'm going to hit my B key and then use my left mouse button, and I can go up and down to adjust that brush. And so from here, I can add. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is just add, and then say opacity I want to be to 1, which is a full opacity, which is fine. And then from here I'm going to go 0.5. And then here I'm just going to assign this area here. Okay, so I'm just assigning these verts right here. So this is going to be a little, whoops, I don't want to hit all of them more than once. So this is actually adding a 0.5 influence on this object. Okay, so it's going to the clavicle. So from this point, we can actually smooth this out. So if we go to smooth, and then the opacity, I'm going to set to 0.1. And then with that, I'm going to flood just a couple times, just to kind of soften that. Okay, so now we should be able to, I just hit the Q key, and now we should be able to just select this. So we can kind of see there is some movement. There is some movement we can see. It's not quite that much, not as much as I had assumed. But if you were to translate, you can see that that looks okay. It's fairly smooth. For other characters, though, you want this to be really smooth on a shoulder. So since this character is kind of built piece by piece, we can actually kind of cheat a little bit. So with this, what we're going to actually do is go back to the Paint Skin Weights tool, and then go to, so left clav joint, and then I'm going to unlock inverse selection, which will unlock everything. And then that should be okay. Okay, so from this point, I'm going to go F9 and then Q, whoops, and then F9 again. Select the object, then F9 and select our whole character. And then we'll also do another skin, mirror skin weights. And then that should do the same for this guy. So F8 back to object mode, and that looks like that worked. So just translate just to check. Now that looks good. It looks like it's going to work. So I just like to go through here and just double check how that is all working with the hand as well. We get this rotation. Okay, then for the thumbs, just going to go through the thumbs. Looks like that thumb works. And then the pointer finger, that looks good to me. And this one, just doing a double check just to kind of go through here. Whoops. Actually, I'm going to turn off joints and also mesh, just so I can actually just select these pieces that I'm looking for. So middle, and then ring. Looks good. Pinky is good. All right, so we'll check the hips. Hips look good. And the feet. So if we check this foot. Yeah, so that's gonna, actually that's another point that I want to add to this. So I want to half this object here. So I'm gonna turn my joints and surfaces back on. So select the knee object, and then we're going to just select these. Let's go and select these vertices. So if you do so select one and then the next, and then just double click, whoops, this one, and then double click, and then that will select the loop. And so one, and then right next to it, double click. So, and then I'm holding shift and doing this. So shift and selecting. and then just going to hit 4 so I can actually see. So right here to right here, and you kind of have to envision like what's going on there. So with that, we're going to pull these verts and we're going to skin them to the leg. So what we'll do here is just go back to 5 or 6. Either one. 6 is material display, but we don't have a material on these. We just have a basic just color shader, so 5 will work. And then so if we go to our paint skin weights tool, and then we want to select the leg as the influence, and then what I'm going to do is just add, and then how I add this is I'll go to 100% opacity and value of 1. 0.1, not 1, and then I'm going to just flood this like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then from here I'm going to actually just select all of these. So select all the verts, and from here we can go back to the paint skin weights tool, and from the left leg I'm going to turn on smooth and opacity of 0.1, and then just flood this. Flood. This just kind of smooths that out a little bit. Okay, then if I go back to object mode, like so, and then from here, whoops, F8, back to object mode. So you can see that knee object is still, it's almost like we want this to kind of curve around. It's curving, but not completely how I would like. So go back to paint skin weights, and then I'm going to just add full opacity, value of 1, and just add. So I'm just kind of painting along here. Actually, let's go with replace 1 to 1. And then I'm just going to paint all these. Just so it kind of, so all at 100%. So I'm bring my brush down. And so I want that guy to be a 100. That guy to be 100. And the other ones I don't really care as much, but I will. So what I'm going to do is actually go to F9, and then I'm going to select this loop right here. And then with this loop, I'm going to bring the Comet tools, Comet skin weights, and go to left knee. So left knee. So that's at 0.172. So if I just kind of drag this slider, you can see that I get a little bit of, so then here I can go left leg, okay, and say I want that at 100%. It's going to go all at 100% to that, but I like to, let's go with adding the left knee. Let's do this first. So this guy and these ones will definitely be 100% to the knee. This row is going to be 100% to the knee. This one as well to the knee. So just make sure that you double select that, or double click that. So just kind of, as we get a little bit closer, I'm just kind of smoothing this out a little bit by just, and you can see how these loops kind of, so then here, this is just kind of smoothing this out a little bit more. So that looks a little better. It's just more rounded. It's just a little bit nicer. And that works for me, so I'm going to close those two and then go down to, so F8, and I like to just rotate around these, just kind of look and see how that's looking. To get back, we just 0. So since everything is zeroed out, And then what we want to do is save. So Control S. And so we have a skinned sphere biped character. The next thing that I like to do is add colored controls. And to do the colored controls, I use a script from Chris Zurbrigg. So it's ZURBRIGG.com. So Chris Zurbrigg. And he has a display override.py, which is a Python script. When you click on this, it actually gives you a display, all these different colors. Okay, so what this basically does is override the color of the actual shape node. So with that in mind, what I like to do is all the center controls I like to turn yellow. So if I go and select the hips and say yellow override, and this guy I'll yellow override, and then the spine 2, and also the chest, and neck, and head, and then I'll override. So that turns them all yellow, which is a nice handy little tool. For right, I like to use red, and this is usually, for the most part, most riggers know that right is red. So we'll just go with red and override, which puts those all at red, and so left is going to be blue. And this is just mainly a visual cue. I find that selecting your controls become a little bit easier when you can see that, like these ones are kind of, they're I mean, you can still select them and you can make selection sets, which is fine. So I'm just going to go NURBS curves, and then that way I can just select all those guys and say blue override, and then I can select all these ones and say red override. And then for the feet, so I'm going to turn this one blue, this one red, this one, well, since we have red selected, we can just override that one, and come back to blue and override. And from here, select red and override. So now that we see that, so the world, I'll usually use, I don't know, it's kind of a what fancies you, honestly. Like I like to use this little green one or this one, so I'll just override with that color, just so it's not the same selection color green. So usually if you do it this color, it kind of matches, so it looks like it's always selected, and so I don't really like to always use that one, but sometimes it's kind of a preference thing. So again, to get this display override, if you go to zurbrigg.com, ZURBRIGG, okay, so if we edit this, you can see Chris Zurbrigg, so it's ZURBRIGG.com, and then if you just look for display override.py, and then you just put this in your scripts folder, okay, your Maya, whatever version you have, scripts folder, and then you should be able to call that like we did the Comet. So you just basically source it. You can source it, and then once it comes in here, so I'll show you. So if I go and let's see, let's add a new Python. So I'm just hitting the plus on the end, and then just go to source script. And so I think this is display color override. So I'll just open that. Okay, so the source is, let's see, I'll just open script. Okay, so source display color override. So if you open that, and then if you just select all that, you can actually just drag. So middle mouse drag up to your shelf area. That will make a little button. And then from here, if you edit and go to shelves, and then you can actually just call this display OR for override, and then save all shelves, close that, And then, so now you'll have that button available. That's how you can do that. So with this one, I'm gonna delete this since I already have this guy, but I will edit this one and update it just so I can see it. I just sometimes, if you roll over them, you can actually see what they actually do. Like if you roll over them, you can see, like for this little button I have select, this is a deselect. It deselects IK and FK and just a bunch of different ones. This deletes modeling history, Comet tools, Comet running the Comet menu, viz on and off, just some other stuff that I have in here that I like to use as custom scripts, which there's a lot of. So with that, so we have this guy pretty much all set. Well, nice little skeleton objects. So we'll save this and we'll move on next to doing a foot roll setup in set-driven key. So we'll use the set-driven key tool to actually make a new foot roll on this character, and we'll do that next. All right, thanks.